Welcome to this week's episode of The Higher Self. This week,
The higher self.
of finding the one. Sorry. This week.
You literally just went into robot mode. It was kind of scary.
I did go into
It was
robot
kind of
mode,
weird.
but let's keep it because it's real. This week, we're going to talk about meeting Jen's parents and our first IG story post. The ice cream in Bath.
Yes.
I'll let you begin.
That was the weirdest introduction.
That's okay. By the way, I love you guys. We love your YouTube comments. I feel like I say that every week.
You do.
But I hope you like that we just go real with it with these introductions.
That's my bread.
Jen is baking bread right now. It's all good.
Okay. So this is when you came to London and we rented the Airbnb. It was really quite gross. We broke the bed. Do you remember we broke the bed?
Yeah, we broke the bed.
I don't even think we were doing anything exciting. We were just lying on it.
We just sat on it.
And fell through the bed.
Yeah.
And you met my parents for the first time. So I remember showing up at my house and my mum answered the door, right?
Yeah. Hold on. Before that.
Yeah.
This is a very big deal. This is a very, very big deal. This is, you're going to meet your parents. So for a guy, like for a girl, for you, for everyone, this is a very big deal. And for me, I knew this would be serious. So, there was kind of a lot going on. Number one, I knew your mom would be easy. I can't explain. Joe, if you're listening, I don't know if you feel this way, but I literally feel like I know your mom from like a past life or something. I really do. I really, really, really do. It was always just, well, it's easy with both of them, but with your mom, I just remember feeling like
it's going to be fine.
That part's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Your dad.
You were shit scared.
You didn't help.
Why?
Because you kept making it seem like you could never know what you were going to get with your dad, and sometimes he'd be on edge or
what?
Yeah, I remember you would just drop these little statements. Like sometimes he could be
my dad is like, what?
He's wonderful. My
dad is like a big teddy bear.
I know he is. But still, I just remember like being on edge. And so,
Well, to be fair, I didn't know how my dad was going to react.
That's what it was. It was didn't know.
It's so unknown. It's like my dad has 3 daughters. I'm the 4 kids, 3 daughters. I'm the youngest of everyone. I'm the youngest of my entire family. And his little girl is bringing home a 45-year-old man.
At the time.
At the time.
Yeah.
I don't even remember how old you are now. So I didn't know how he was going to react. Truly.
Yeah.
And nor did you.
Nor did I. And I'll tell you, it's interesting because even in many ways, your parents are like my dream in-laws, like in many ways. Like, and by the way, I have to say this, like I have been blessed. Like I love my ex-in-laws. Like I love them. Like from my heart. Like I really do. I really do love Alberto and Esther. And yet, like I was open to something different because we were very different, and I loved them in our differences. And I remember like always dreaming like, if I ever do this again, I want to meet like some business-minded in-laws, like some people who can like roll with me in that part of my life, like in my dreams of abundance and so forth and so on. Which is my favorite saying. Oh, did I?
Yeah. You handled that so well.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It was honoring, but at the same, like it was okay. Well, it's my truth.
Yeah.
It's my truth. And so, I'm just remembering stories right now. But and so I always wanted, because that's a very big part of my life,
Hmm.
that, in honesty, I don't have in common with anyone in my family other than my brother, quite frankly. So it can feel very lonely and very isolating when you're the one that thinks as big as you think, and you're the one that wants in life like what you want. And so I was like, man, like I'd love some in-laws like who are like me,
Hmm.
you know? And so I remember, first things first, I'm nervous as hell. The gate opens to your house. It's a beautiful house. It's white with black, my kind of combo, sick, the whole thing. And your mom shows up, and we're like, like we're both kind of like
Awkward.
giddy, nervous, awkward, like, and we were sitting and making small talk, but I couldn't focus on your mom because your fucking dad was upstairs stomping around like a gorilla or something. Like you knew he was coming downstairs. So it was like this this moment that was gonna happen.
Ominous,
It was an
looming
ominous moment. It really was.
moment.
So I remember I was like be talking to your mom, and I would just be hearing these steps upstairs, right? And that went on for like 30 minutes or something.
Yeah, he was getting dressed.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, fuck, he's doing this on purpose. He's like delaying to like,
He wouldn't have been doing it on purpose.
well, that's what I was thinking. And then your dad walks down, and it just immediately, like his vibe. And I remember, because I was a watch person, and I think he was wearing his Rolex with the black stripe. That's exactly what he was wearing, the black strap, the sports strap. And I was like, this fucking guy, I like this guy, because that's the watch I wanted right there. And we just hit it off. It was like perfect.
And my brother came.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then your brother came too.
My brother and Emily
And
came.
your Emily came, and we all had dinner.
Yeah. And I remember it's all coming back to me now. You and my dad were sitting next to each other, and you were both drinking wine, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because at that time I was like, I don't drink, but your dad's gonna offer me, yeah, give me a drink. Yeah, give me a drink.
And you were just bantering each other.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was all good.
And Mum and I were just sitting at the end of the table, like super quiet.
Yeah, trying to see everything.
Like,
And I want to speak to something, because you guys have got to understand the dynamics here. So pay attention. Number one, your brother is probably thinking, what the fuck is this old guy doing here in my house?
he probably still thinks
He probably he probably still thinks that. Make sure you send him this part right here. What the fuck is this old guy doing with my sister, right? But then also for me, which I know this was not for you guys, this was me. Like, here I am, like I'm a brown dude in like white people like dinner. Like I'm the oddball. I'm the odd guy. And this is completely out of my comfort zone, But it was beautiful.
Uh-huh.
It was all cool. And it just worked.
Yeah.
And it's worked ever since.
Uh-huh.
Like, your mom and dad to me are like, they're like my
homies.
They're my dogs. They're like, yeah, we vacation together. We hang out together. We just.
Yeah. Which is wonderful, because imagine it would have been such a hard dynamic if everyone hadn't gotten along. Being that, like, I now have a long distance relationship with my parents.
Yeah.
That it's like really important that we can go home to London and stay with them, and that they can come here and stay with us, and everything's just like so easy and so cool.
True story. We get along so well. You guys, we should probably flip the camera this way, but the guest house is being built. I built that guest house literally for your mom and dad and your brother and your family, so that whenever they wanted to come, they can come.
Yeah.
And now we're moving.
And now we're moving. Good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was really nice.
It was nice.
How did it feel for you? I'm curious because, you know, I think especially in Hispanic households, there's always like the joke about the stepmom, but I think that's everywhere. Like, you know, there's always an issue with like the stepmom, like, or, you know, issues with like the in-laws or whatever the case may be. How did it feel for you to see that dynamic that like,
it all worked out.
It just like, it flows.
Yeah. I think I was almost like, I wouldn't say just as nervous as you, but I was extremely nervous because it was something like you were so different to probably what they imagined that I would be with.
What was, I don't think I've ever asked you, what was it like the previous guys that you would bring home? Like,
oh, now I have to like do this like really gently and I can't be bothered. Well, my previous partner, my dad, they were like in football together, so that's different because they knew each other before I even knew him. The previous partners, you know, I always had this feeling where I would like need to like go upstairs for a shower and have to like leave my partner with my dad, and I would always have this like really awkward feeling of like what are they going to talk about? You know what I mean? Like I'd have to be like, are you okay? And like shower really quickly and come down. And I always just wanted a partner where I knew that like you could, I mean, you guys sit in front of the TV together the whole time and just chill.
And watch cricket.
And watch you, yeah, because Danny gets so excited about any sport that my dad's watching, and I think he loves it. It's like my dad explained to you the whole of cricket, and now you're like, yeah. Like no one finds cricket interesting, but you do, so you get along.
It's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's really nice. That's a nice feeling.
Yeah. It really is, like, you know, and in many ways for me, from a spiritual perspective, it just like, it was like the bow on the present. It was like the icing on the cake per se. You know, it was like, yeah, this works. You know, this really feels right. So how do you find the one? You find the one, quite frankly, by becoming the one. And becoming the one is a beautiful process. It's a process of unraveling all of your deepest fears. It's a process of you reconnecting to your truest self. And it's a process of reopening your heart to life's greatest possibilities. Because when you do that, you reconnect with the love that you have for yourself. And when you reconnect with the love that you have for yourself, you can then give and receive love from another human being. I want to invite you to join me in our wonderful online community called Awaken You, short for Awaken University. You can start today with an incredible 7-day free trial. You can go in, take advantage of all of the meditations, all of the classes, and once a week, I'm going to be online live with you to answer all of your questions about relationships and, most importantly, about finding the one. Go right now to findingtheonepodcast.com/awaken you. And then after that, we went
to Bath.
Yeah. Explain to them what that is.
So I went to university in Bath for 4 years. It's like a...
University for you Americans is college.
College. And it's like this really small, beautiful town outside of London, about 2 hours away. And it's called Bath because it's where the Roman baths are. But this was kind of a weird trip for me because although I did have great times at university, I also had some of like my hardest years there. And so going back energetically, like I hadn't been back since my graduation, going back energetically was kind of a weird feeling for me. Because there's just like a lot of memories and attachments associated to being there. But we decided to go. And
I want to dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I love about you and your story is that, you know, people project their stuff onto people. And so I've always told you this is like, I'll just speak for myself, but, you know, from the outside looking in, you would think that you had it all figured out. But in your college years, I know that you dealt with anxiety in a pretty heavy way. And I think that that's important for us to speak about, because I think that it could help, you know, people out there. There's a lot of people that are dealing with anxiety and they don't know how to deal with it, how to cope with it. And this is an opportunity for them to understand it a little bit better and understand how to move past it.
So what's the question? Talk about it.
Yeah, your journey with anxiety.
Yeah. So when I was about, I'm going to say like 19, I just started like suffering with what I didn't actually know were panic attacks at the time, but like moments of like complete meltdown. And it kind of, I think we discussed this on when I was first on your show, but if you didn't hear that, I had this one moment where it kind of all reached a pinnacle where I was in London and I was meant to go back to Bath to take an exam. And my parents had gone to China. I literally will remember this like for the rest of my life, I think. And I was sitting at the office desk revising. And if anyone who suffers with anxiety knows, you get like really bad brain fog when you're anxious. Like you just can't focus on anything. So imagine like retaining like the fattest textbook of information and trying to like remember that for an exam the next day. And I was revising, and normally like I don't have any issues with studying or revising. And I just like would go over this paper over my notes and be like, wait, and then go over it again and over it again. And I just could not remember the information. And it started to like really, really stress me out. And then what happens with anxiety is it's like, it is a fear of the future. So it's a fear of the unknown, and it's a fear of future events. And it's a fear of not having control over those events. So then thoughts such as like, what if I never remember the information? What if I go into the exam and I can't remember anything and then I fail? And then what if I fail and it makes me like and I have to like leave university? You go into this like spiral of what ifs without ever being like, well, yeah, okay, what if I do go in? And it's your perspective on things is so negative, and you can be so hard on yourself in those moments that I found myself like I literally shut the door of my bathroom at home. No one was even home, and I like locked myself in the toilet. And I remember I was literally just curled into a ball, sobbing, crying. And it's so hard to explain if you've never had a panic attack before, but maybe you have a friend or like your partner suffers with anxiety. It's like so irrational that you can't really even like understand what's happening. You know, like I've had panic attacks so rough before where I've like completely disassociated with myself, and I'm looking at my mum and I'm like, wait, who are you? I don't know what's going on. Can you tell me what's going on? Like I don't know what's
that bad.
Yeah, because you get so like discombobulated, I can't explain it any other way, in your mind, that you literally don't know like your hand from your foot. It's so confusing and disorienting. And then what happens is that once you've experienced a panic attack, a lot of the fear is actually becomes about having a panic attack again. So it's like this major downward spiral of like fear of fear of fear of more fear. Does that make sense? So in that moment, that's when I realized like, oh shit, like something's like wrong. Like something's going on for me mentally that's like not normal. And like basically my whole way through university, I was in therapy, but it's pretty wild because I would lie to all my friends and be like, I'm going to the library, or like I'm going to study, and I would like go to therapy because at the time, anxiety, depression, therapy, like it wasn't like a popular thing like it is now, especially in the UK. We like didn't talk about our mental health. That was not a thing. So that made it even more taboo. And I remember with my friends being like, if I told them that I'm anxious or I have anxiety or I have panic attacks, then they're going to think that I'm weak. And then they'll like check on me, and then like that will make it worse because I don't want people to like feel sorry for me.
And you, as it is, don't like attention.
No, not particularly.
So I can imagine that.
Yeah. So, you know, it was a major journey out of that kind of, I was in like a really dark space for a long time where I would be like scared to leave my room, scared to go to lectures, scared to kind of do anything. I was just like scared to live life, essentially.
Wow.
I remember one of my biggest triggers was like putting my mascara on. This sounds so ridiculous, but you have to like, I hope this is making someone out there feel seen.
I guarantee you it is.
Because it can really be the smallest thing, and especially in the context of relationships, because I'd love to talk about this as well. A partner can support in so many ways, but often they don't, because the thing that's your trigger or the thing that you get really anxious about, they think is ridiculous. So imagine if I said like putting my mascara on like makes me feel really anxious, and like all of a sudden like I'm having a panic attack because like when I was putting my mascara on, like I like paused to breathe, and when I paused to breathe I thought that like I was having a panic attack. It's gnarly. Like anxiety is wild when you're like in the deep mix of it.
You know what I just thought of? Remember that episode of Married at First Sight Australia?
Oh, I just related to her so much.
Where the girl, what was her name?
Jaden and...
The guy?
Jaden is the guy. Eden.
Where Eden was in... By the way, if you ever want to watch a great show, Married at First Sight Australia is the best show.
On planet Earth.
On planet Earth, it really is. But Eden was having a panic attack. You could see it, guys, her face.
Bless her,
It was like the poor thing.
I know.
And she was just like, they're at a dinner table and everybody's talking, and you can tell she's just feeling very uncomfortable, right? This is big. This is relationship stuff. So hang with me. And if you're with your partner, I really think you guys should like talk about this. This is important here. And she's having a major panic attack. And then the guy, the partner says, do you want to leave? And she says, yeah. So they leave and they go on the couch. And Eden is just having a panic attack. You can watch it and you can see it, that there is definitely something wrong, but he couldn't see it. For him, the panic attack was an issue with him. He made it about him. And this is where we can blindly not understand what our partners are going through based off of our triggers and based off of our trauma. This guy, he probably understands it now, but in the moment, this guy, he's a boxer. He's a fighter. He had trauma in past relationships. His past partner left him. So think about this. He comes onto the show with the story, no matter what, I'm going to give this my all. Mm-hmm. Which means that I'm going to fix everything, because that's the masculine. The masculine wants to fix, right? What he didn't realize was there was a lot of wounded masculine energy there. Because in that moment, what she needed was, she just needed someone to love her and to hold space for her. And so every time she tried to say, I just don't want to talk about it right now, he says, from, I need to fix everything because I will not fail at relationship again. He says, no, we're going to talk about this. No, we need to talk about this. No, this is what you always, and she's just like,
She's like, okay, you're right. You're right.
Eventually, she literally goes like this, guys. You're right. Yes. You're right. Yes. She
Leaves.
she literally checked out. And
Yeah.
you, if you're aware of it, you can watch it happen right there on camera. And I think it's what happens a lot. I think a lot of times what happens is that we, based off of our traumas, our triggers, we're not aware. We're not aware of what our partner needs in that moment because we're so busy operating from our wounding that we are reacting to what's going on with them based off of our wounding. And I can remember the first time it came up for us. This was way back in the story, but I remember we had a party to go to. We had an event to go to, and you were sick.
Yeah.
Remember that? And it was like one of our first times, like really like getting to know each other. You came, you were spending the night, you know, and you were sick. And you went into a moment where you had a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And what were you thinking?
I think the being sick piece is like a very specific piece on like feeling vulnerable, feeling out of control, feeling not good and safe and not in your own environment. And like with this dude that like I don't know that well and I don't know if he's going to be able to take care of me and blah, 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 blah. But I remember when it came up and we had the ability to talk about it, I remember feeling so seen in the things that I was sharing. I think one of the biggest issues around anxiety, when someone suffers with anxiety in relationship and the other person has no prior experience with anxiety, the common things that you hear are like, well, just don't worry about it.
Or why are you making it such a big deal?
Why are you making it such a big deal? Like, don't worry about it. Oh,
toughen up.
Even if it's in a kind way.
Yeah.
Like, oh, don't worry about that. Like, it's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. That can make the other person feel so unseen in their feelings because like, you don't understand me.
Right. I don't think you get what I'm going through.
You don't get what I'm going through. If you think it's going to be fine, it's not going to be fine. Can't you see all these reasons why it's not going to be fine? I've literally gone to the depths of the earth to see how in this situation, me putting on my mascara is going to equal death. You don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when someone's like, it's fine, it's going to be fine. You're like, no, it's not. You don't understand. Whereas what that person, if I can offer a piece of advice in this moment, what that person most often needs is someone to be almost like a rational, what do you call it? Like a rational sounding board. So it's like, okay, well, what if right in this moment you have a panic attack? And then the other person gets to share, well, then I would, and then they're like, okay, and what if that were to happen? And you kind of talk it through, and what if? Okay, and now what if? And then you ask them things like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, how bad are your heart palpitations right now? On a scale of 1 to 10, like, how foggy do you feel? Like, so that person feels like they're really being seen in their feelings, in their physical symptoms, in everything. And then what I would advise, and this is something I used to do for myself and that I learned when I was doing behavioral therapy, is you then ask them or you then write down the most rational, different perspective that you could have on that situation. So for example, if it's, I feel really anxious because I'm in this house with this random dude and what if he can't look after me? Like a rational, different perspective that you could talk about with your partner is, what if he can look after you? And what if he's actually really incredible at looking after you and you feel really supported? Or what if you actually don't need anyone to look after you because you really have the capabilities very much to look after yourself? You understand the process that you go through, but you can do that with like every single feeling and thought and irrational belief and turn it into like a different perspective. What if there's this perspective also?
Hey, friends, thanks for joining us here on Finding the One. We would absolutely love your support, and this is going to be our only ask. Please subscribe wherever it is that you're watching, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Subscribe and leave a comment and let us know how you're enjoying the show, because it truly, truly goes a long way.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
I think that's it. So that's all we want to tell them.
What are you handing over to me?
Well, I don't know. I'm just handing over the mic. But if you don't want to take it, I'm going to hand it over to you now to go out and just click subscribe wherever you're listening. We really appreciate you. Yeah, I remember clearly what you were most concerned with was if I would be upset with you because we couldn't go to the event.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, who cares? Let's
Yeah.
just stay here and sleep and rest.
Yeah.
And I remember you were like, what? Wait, what? That's an option? And I remember
It's
I was
so
like,
right.
not only, I don't give a shit about that. I give a shit about you.
Yeah.
Like, and that's where it like diffused.
Diffused.
Yeah.
Really, that person, it's really important that person feels seen and that there's enough open communication to discuss your irrational beliefs and maybe have someone that can help you think of alternative views, thoughts, feelings towards that situation.
Sure. Yeah.
Because in the moment, even if it's like, what if I go to the party and have a panic attack? If your partner's in with you and like you've come up with all these different beliefs around that situation, you go to the party, you feel really supported. You probably don't have the panic attack anyway. But if you feel a moment of like I'm having a moment, that person can look you in the eye and they can say, remember, there's this. We can think about it like this. We can think about it like this. And even if you do have a panic attack, Jen, that's okay. Like, let's leave. We'll leave. And you want to be at home? Let's go. It's no big deal.
I think the biggest thing is they have to know I got you.
Yeah.
No matter what, I got you. And I can't stress this enough for you couples. You know, I was just on a coaching call with one of our clients, and, you know, I looked at them and I looked at their body language, and I was just like, what's up? Like, you guys ain't connected. And then I told them the truth, and I was like, to be honest, for as long as I've known you, you've never been connected. And it was like,
let's talk about it.
Let's get down and dirty. Like, what's happening? What's coming up? And it 100% always comes from past woundings. It always does. And so this is why I always say to you, the greatest thing you can do is to work on yourself. Because when you do and you go through all of it, then you can understand it when someone else is going through it, and because you've gone through it yourself, and you can hold space for that person and help that person. And truly, in relationship, you know, we often do the opposite. Like, instead of holding space, we make whatever is happening about ourselves, and then we project our issues onto the person, which causes the other person to be defensive, and you're just constantly just
clashing.
Underneath, you love each other.
Yeah.
But real love lets go of the story, and real love loves the other person. That allows,
and sees the other person.
And supports the other person.
Yeah.
You know? So we were in Bath.
We were in Bath. You know, I just want to add one more thing.
Yeah.
Whilst it's on my brain, is that I feel like we've brought this topic up and it's like, okay, well, how did you overcome being anxious all the time?
Yeah.
And number one, as I said, I was in therapy for like 2-3 years. And second is yoga. The moment I started yoga, I have never had a panic attack since. Because if you can learn to breathe, and I know that's so simple and sounds so silly, but if you know the power of your breath, you will never have a panic attack ever again. I can promise you that. The breath controls our entire nervous system. You're breathing now. Does everything. So yeah, that would be go to therapy if you feel like you're called to therapy. Go do plant medicine if you feel like you're called to plant medicine. But also yoga will change your freaking life.
And she has a channel on YouTube.
And like do my yoga on YouTube at Blessed Yoga.
Yeah, no, but it's seriously wonderful. Everybody in Awaken You, they go, I don't know
Yeah.
if you know that, when they post their daily workouts, they're like watching you do yoga because it's
Oh.
really, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, when I feel called back to teaching, that is definitely like on the horizon, because I love yoga and I love teaching yoga. But right now, YouTube is the place to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're in Bath.
We're in Bath. I just thought of something
Tell me.
because I feel like this whole journey, we've been talking about the things that you didn't like about me.
What did you not like about
But
me?
I remember there was one thing that I told myself, she doesn't get over that. Well, I knew you would get over it because you were already on the journey, on the healing journey.
Was
you
it
had
vaping?
already you had already sat with mushrooms. But this young woman used to vape. Like,
No,
can you even picture her doing that?
No, I did not vape like that.
Babe, you were vaping all day and you couldn't go anywhere without that stupid thing. And I'm sorry to tell you this. I'm not sorry to tell you this. I'm going to hold space for your highest self. If you are vaping, it is an external sign of something missing spiritually and emotionally inside of you. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. So there was no way I could be with a partner that vaped. It just not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Not happening.
Are you pleased you told everyone that I used to vape?
Because I get to not like something about you too.
Okay. The vaping thing was wild for me because it was like an awareness that I knew that it was like there was something. But you know what? Okay, yeah, I knew there was something going on. I knew I wasn't going to vape forever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It was just like something that I was using to like relax me. The wildest thing about the vaping is that one mushroom journey, just before I went to the journey, I took my vape because I was like, you know what, it'll be really nice to vape after ceremony and like sit there and vape.
And I remember thinking, after this journey, it's over. I remember thinking that.
So I do the journey. Nothing about vaping comes up. But after we're sitting and you're still pretty like the medicine is in you. And I was vaping and I turned to my friend Danica and I was like, this really hurts my mouth. It's like burning my mouth. And she was like, then why are you doing it? Stop. I was like, okay. And that was it.
And that was
forever.
it.
It was the wildest thing.
Yeah.
That was it forever. It was like this sudden, simple awareness that like this thing harms my body. It literally hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And then my friend reflecting back to me, so why are you doing something that's hurting you? I don't know. That seems really stupid. I'll stop.
And you stopped vaping.
And I stopped vaping.
I think it's a testament to the power of the healing work you have done in your life, because you've been able to overcome two things, anxiety and vaping. And they're two prevalent things in our culture that, quite frankly, a lot of human beings deal with. And I feel really glad that we were able to talk about this, because guys, listen, I cannot stress this enough. The deeper you go in your journey, the more you realize that anything external, it's going to show up somehow and block a part of your relationship. It really is. And so I'm glad that you dealt with that. Yeah.
I think questions.
I think let's go to questions.
Yeah.
And next week we're going to talk about the party.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do that. That was big.
How does one go about love languages? I love affection, yet my husband is avoidant.
Fuck.
But I really want you to talk about love languages because it's really interesting because ours are so wildly different.
Well, I have a theory that I don't think is a theory. I think it's a truth.
Tell me.
I think that our love languages are a deep yearning for what we did not receive when we were in our youth. There's something there.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I think it's both. I think it's either what we did not receive or what we deeply received.
There's a possibility.
I think it's both.
And it depends.
Or either or.
Yeah, and it depends where you're at in your journey energetically and where you are in your healing process. I was a major avoidant. I recommend all of you read the book Attached.
Such a good book.
It's a game changer. I learned so much about myself in that book. Look, the truth is, I would say worry less about, what is that called? What
love languages.
Love languages, and worry more about healing yourself. Because when you are avoidant, what you actually are is afraid. You're afraid of love. You're afraid of receiving, giving love, being loved, because you learned early on in life that love potentially meant harm. That's ultimately what it is. It meant rejection. And so I would say if you focus more on healing, right? Deep healing work, whether that be plant medicine or whether that be come to awaken, right? I would say that those love languages will start to like shift and like dissipate. And then you'll get to the center and to the core of who you are. And yes, you'll have differences like we do, but it'll be easier. It'll flow more, right? Like your love language is quality time. And
your love language is not quality time.
No. Yeah. So that's my honest answer. I tell you that because you see, most of the issues we deal with as human beings, it's like, that's a very like 3D thing.
Yeah.
Like my love language, I'm all about get underneath that. What's underneath it so that you go heal that thing. And then this is a piece of cake. Same thing with money, by the way. Same thing with relationships. Same thing with your body. Whatever it is, that's the surface. Underneath it, there's an energy.
Yeah. And like, can I make examples of that?
Please.
So if I may make you an example.
Knock yourself out.
Oh, really? So the quality time thing that we say, like yours is not quality time. Well, if we're being honest, being present for you is something that you're always working on. So it's not really that your love language isn't quality time. It's that being present isn't always the easiest thing for you.
Sure.
So it shows up as not enjoying quality time.
Right.
Right?
Right.
When someone's love language isn't touch, you know, like, oh, I don't really like touch. Well, do you not like touch, or that's not your love language? Or is there something underneath that that's
with receiving?
With receiving affection or giving affection, or you get the gist.
Yeah. So I hope that
there's
helped.
there's always an energy
always an energy underneath it. Yeah. All right, ready? I met a guy dating and things were going good, and then he switched and he all of a sudden only wants a situationship. It hurts. Any advice? I have to say something. I feel like this is very prevalent in today's
dating culture. Really?
Yeah.
It's very non-committal, and it's very like keeping options open, and the grass may be greener elsewhere. My biggest advice for that is go so deep on knowing your own value.
Listen to what she's saying.
So deep that if someone wants to switch and put you in a situationship, that's not even something that you would consider or tolerate. / is not even something that you would necessarily attract in your life.
You can't attract that in your life because you're so deep in the knowing of who you are that that energy would never attract that. You actually attracted that to teach you a lesson, because in truth, when you find your power, number one, not only will you not attract it, but number two, it won't even hurt that much because you'll be okay because you have found the one, and the one is you.
Mm-hmm. I don't think people actually realize that's the reason we called the show
That's why we call it
One.
Finding the One.
It's not about finding the one. It's about finding the one.
That's
You
right.
are the one.
You're the one.
Boom. Finished. Mic drop.
Right, Randy? That's it. Just don't drop them.
Oh, I promise.
That's it for this week's episode. Hey, guys, thank you.
Hey.
This thing is growing. Share it with your family members and friends. And if you're just listening to this episode for the first time, I want to say the greatest relationship advice that I can give you, go back to episode 1 and watch all of them, because the episodes are going to mirror back to you a part of your relationship that might need some work, or a part of your relationship that you really don't want.
Or a part of your relationship that you really love and are really grateful for, that you're like, wow, I actually do have that, and I can be really grateful that I do.
That's right.
Can I just say one thing before we finish? Someone commented the other day saying, this is my favorite show to watch, and that's when Bridgerton season 3 has just been released. And I was like, do you know what, hon? That is such a compliment, because Bridgerton is unreal.
Well, it's our favorite show to do.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
It's a
love
lot
it.
of fun. Yeah.
So thank you, guys.
Next week, we'll talk about Danny going and meeting not only the family, but all of the North London Jewish community at this party. Get ready for that.
Get ready when
Nana Jean.
Get ready when the Hispanic walks into the Jewish party.
We'll see you next week.